released this past week is...
Well, and the sketch that they released, again, is detailed enough that if this guy is there, you're going to go, well, that's Tommy. You know, I mean, whoever... It's not I've seen police sketches where it's very, like, that could be literally Shrek or a human man, or... But, I mean, that's distinctive.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like it's in Houston with 4 or 5 million people.
We're talking smallish town.
Yeah, you're talking, damn near a village.
Yeah, in the Midwest, you know.
And to be honest, with the first sketch, I really don't see how they got what they did with that video.
That seems like a lot of...
down.
So the sketch was done completely from the video?
That's all they had.
Yeah.
Both girls were killed.
Doesn't that...
There were no witnesses.
I don't... Seeing the frames from the video, I don't understand how they got this first sketch.
Or the second one. I mean, but that seems like a lot of detail for some... For a photo that has no detail.
In spite of what Criminal Minds shows us on TV, they can't zoom in like that. That doesn't work.
No.
You know?
And even if they could, they would get
databases and stuff. They don't exist.
They would get a very beautiful picture of the top of his hat.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I always love that when you see these cop shows and they've got this grainy ass like a license plate or whatever, and they're like, oh, let me zoom in, and then it's crystal clear. It's like, you are a lying sack of shit.
That's not how that
pixels
work.
Oh wow! Here recently, because it was the second anniversary of the murders, they spoke to Carroll County Prosecutor Nicholas McClellan. He said this case has affected the community in so many ways. The people behind the scenes will not rest until we get this case solved. Anyone who comes forward with information is asked to include, if possible, suspect's name, date of birth, physical description, their address, vehicle information, a specific reason why they believe this person should be
blood,
considered,
and stool sample,
mother's
and a possible motive why they might be connected to these. Like, wow, are you wanting these people to give the tips to work the case for you?
There's no way
major
they could
credit
get
card
either one of those
number
sketches from that.
I mean,
like I said, the video is like 3 frames long.
I just watched the video, and there's no damn way they could get either one of those sketches from that.
I know nobody. That nobody listening is going to be able to know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but
no, I see.
Charlie closed the door with this halo, and now he doesn't know what the hell happened.
He's like, fuck all this.
Yeah, he's just standing there like, something's
not right,
different.
Guys. Poor Charlie.
I clicked something, and I don't know what happened. There
She broke it. Broke the internet.
Yeah, you can't get either one of those sketches from that.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell he has some facial hair. Other than that,
you can't tell color.
No,
you can't tell.
And he's wearing a bulky jacket, so it's hard to really pin down what size he really is.
Yeah.
You know, you got to think about that. I mean, this is. I'm sure this is.
And it's not like the sketch artist had someone to question.
Right.
You know,
that
I
clarify,
could totally understand.
Yeah.
But based on what they
Yeah, I don't think they have anything to go on.
No.
I mean, they've been extremely quiet about the details, how they were murdered. I'm wondering, they had to find like a curly reddish brown hair on one of their bodies.
To give them that or something.
Because you can't tell that from the video.
No, that and it may be that they may have something like
they've
physical,
been really closed mouth about
that they don't want to tip anybody's hand. Well, which I mean, I get it.
They said they're going to be more open now, but
this is
I don't know what
2 little girls in a very small town. I'm sure it was probably one of those things where everyone was devastated. I can't even imagine. I mean, you know. I'm sure it's one of those places like they thought that their girls were perfectly safe.
Yeah, they said, you know, they went there all the time. Everybody went there all the time.
Yeah, it was a thing you did there.
Yeah,
and they had someone at that time that they were going to get picked up. And
I think there was a church group that had planned a thing out there that same day, and none of them saw anybody else on the trail.
And there was a woman that they had talked to that had gone on that trail or across the bridge shortly after they were supposed to be picked up or something. She said she didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
Didn't hear
Nothing
anything.
seemed out of place. Didn't hear anything.
And with that being a public land, I would say it's probably safe to say there weren't any video cameras, any kind of surveillance.
No. I mean, you know, on private land around here, you might have gotten trail cams or something.
Right.
And even that, maybe at the trailhead or something there might be, but probably not on the rest of the trail.
And I mean,
it's just not feasible to get power and everything else.
Right.
You know?
You know, can you? Oh my God! All I can think about is that woman knowing that she walked by and they may have still been alive or just had just been, and knowing that she was that close. And
the guy that picked them up or was supposed to pick them up, I can't remember the times of the timeline, but with tracking their phone and what pictures they took in the video and everything, it was like 15 to 30 minutes.
Oh my
before.
God! So it was very close. So I mean, and that almost tells you whoever did that's really, really bold, because you said it's a popular place. It's like sort of like the town where everybody goes to get out in nature and stuff like that.
But even at that though, Brandy, I mean like the River Trail, Little Rock. There's times where it's just covered up. And there's times where it's just basically deserted.
Yeah, but you're never going to know.
But you're not going to know, in
advance, which, I mean, so it's almost like...
Unless you're scoping it out.
Right, that's what I was, it's almost like he was just kind of hanging out and saw his moment and struck.
A crime of opportunity. I also saw a
picture, and I don't know if it was in the same town or a town nearby, of a guy sitting on a bench next to a sidewalk. I don't know if it was like at a kid's park or something. Same hat, same jacket. It had to be the same guy.
Really? So, yeah.
Because she was like her kids were like running down the sidewalk. She took a picture of him. He's just sitting there on the... Someone's got to know who that guy is.
I just can't say. I mean, around here, it's kind of like...
Well, unless it was a transient person, because like I said, you're talking about a town of 3,000 people. Someone or everybody knows everyone. It's not like it's not even like Little Rock, which has a couple 100,000 people. I mean, they're
everybody. Everybody
that sketch is 100% different.
Well, and I'm looking at the sketch, and it's the new one, and I mean, they're literally saying we're going in a new direction, and they're saying this new sketch is based off of that video, and I'm going,
how?
The only thing I saw even a little bit of a hint of was facial hair, and the new sketch doesn't even have facial hair.
Yeah, I know. But,
I mean, I don't. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
I just can't believe either one of those sketches, if they're
came from that video.
And if they're even remotely accurate, in a town that size, there's not going to be that many degrees of separation. Somebody would know somebody who looks like that.
Well,
absolutely.
I will say this: I know a little bit about some different cases around North Little Rock. The woman on McCain Boulevard that got shot driving down
with the
road.
Car, just in the truck.
I mean, some people that stopped and gave statements didn't hear a gunshot. Some people claim they did. Then everybody, they were looking for that burgundy Ford pickup. Well, apparently, she was shot, and then she rolled through the intersection and hit a telephone pole. Well, apparently a lot of people didn't look up until her car hit that telephone pole.
Right.
And I'm guessing when they looked up, they saw that truck. Well, that was after the fact.
Right.
They eventually figured out who that truck was and spoke to the guy, and he didn't. They don't think he has anything to do with it. And it's a situation like this. Other than that, they have nothing. They have nothing to go on, and are afraid that case will never be solved. And that may be the case. That may be the case with this one.
Yeah.
Well, and I noticed that it said that this trail is like really close to what they call the Hoosier Heartland Highway, which basically
runs a mouthful, isn't it?
I know. Damn, it runs like
kind of like I-40
straight through.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a straight line right down the middle of Indiana.
Okay.
So if it's close, and he timed it right, he could have done his thing, got on that, and been far, far away just within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so maybe he was not from that area. Maybe he
just a passer through.
Well, in the era of Google, you can look at places, you can figure out if they look,
Yeah.
Well, you can look at the lay of the land and find out where you could, technology has gotten...
Okay, I think this is the audio.
He said,
guys.
He says, guys, get down the hill.
Yeah, and why did they do it though?
But it doesn't even sound.
He may have had a gun. He may have had
little kids. You don't know.
know.
He may have. God, there's so many things. He could have told them there was somebody hurt. They needed to help them. He could have threatened them with a weapon. Could have told them,
And there's got to be more audio than that.
Yeah.
They acted like no.
They've got to have something.
But
Because
they
first
have
of all,
been really
that
close-mouthed
didn't
about
sound like overtly threatening. I mean, it didn't.
You don't hear either one of the girls respond. It's just fishy all the way around.
And you don't. To me, that doesn't sound like a young voice. That's not the voice of a young man.
But it didn't sound particularly old either.
No, but I'm saying middle age.
age.
Definitely not like a college kid.
No.
Or a senior.
Yeah, like
citizen, not.
Yeah, I mean,
not like
that
senior high
looks
school.
like a college kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sketch kind of does, doesn't it?
And so, even the voice sounds more plausible for the first sketch. Everything, so that's why it's very strange.
I just don't understand why they're saying these are two different men. This new sketch is based on the man in the video. Well,
So
who was the first one based on that?
Yeah, where did that come from?
Yeah,
If they only have this evidence, how are they getting two distinct men?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. If you have these 5 pieces of evidence and that's what you base this one on, and you still only have these 5 pieces of evidence, what in the hell made you change your fucking mind and do this other sketch that
This
is
radical
just
departure.
180 degrees different than the first one? And the first one also, if they would have looked at, those 3 frames, looks like what you would expect on those 3 frames.
Yeah, what you would expect.
Not
You
this
can't-
fucking
you can't see
kid
it.
right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I mean, that kid is still in high school.
Or in college at
or maybe a
least.
freshman in college.
I mean, that's a baby face.
Yeah.
No.
And the other guy looks like he's got an alcohol problem and might be on his 3rd divorce.
Yeah.
I mean,
He does. He looks, weathered.
yeah, like he's got a bloodhound named Rex, and that's his best friend and shit.
I think some of it comes down to these police officers, investigators are under enormous pressure to find somebody and arrest
And
somebody.
not just by the press, but like their friends and their family. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
they live in this little town.
And sometimes I think they grasp at straws.
Yeah.
Not that they're trying to do anything
No.
wrong. I think it's just
Out of desperation. I
They
get
just
that.
desperately want justice for these little girls.
Do y'all remember, was it last year or year before, when Little Rock was having a murder like every weekend?
it was last year.
Last year.
And one of
They've got
the
a pretty good
victims.
start on it this year.
Yeah, well, one of the victims was an Italian national.
Oh yeah,
I remember that, yeah.
And now these cases, none of them got solved.
No.
Except for that one. And I thought it was interesting how this Italian guy got murdered. 3 days later, his dad and an Interpol officer are on the chief of police doorstep, and all of a sudden, 2 days later, the case is closed. They found their guy. It's like, no, that seems fishy to me.
Was that the guy that was jogging and went into the river? Or is that a different guy?
No,
That was a different
guy.
one.
Yeah, the one that was jogging and went in the river. They were here for somebody's wedding.
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's right.
And that was his dumbass fault for going to jog at 11 o'clock at night in downtown Little Rock.
What did that end up being? Wasn't it a suicide?
They're thinking he just. Well,
They're thinking
you get down there behind the Peabody Hotel, and there's multiple levels, and some of it almost looks like a little dock almost, and there's spots where if you're not
And it's
paying
dark.
attention, you can run right off the side of it.
And they're thinking that he just inadvertently, like it was an accident.
Yeah, but I thought that was really suspect that Interpol showed up and 48 hours later they got the dude in custody. It's like, man, y'all are some shady sons of bitches.
Well, it's telling.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, if you can solve that one in what it wound up being, 4 days, I think. What about these other 75 murders that y'all are sitting there with your thumb in your ass? Why don't you put a little bit of effort into that?
So now Indiana State Police are saying an image done by the FBI sketch artist on July 17th, 2017. It was based on what they said was recent information from a witness who saw the suspect before the 13 and 14-year-old's death.
So somebody.
The second sketch?
How?
No, the
No,
image
the
done
first
in
sketch.
2017.
Okay,
That's funny because it looks more like the video than the new sketch does.
Then what the fuck is this?
Supposedly taken from the sketch.
In April 2019, it said the man depicted in the sketch is probably, or it's not presently, a person of interest in this investigation.
And this
The
is a
new
random sketch that we
sketch.
thought would look cool.
The new sketch, 2 months after the 2-year anniversary, Indiana State Police released an updated sketch of the suspect on April 22nd, 2019. They said they had reason to believe the man's between 18 and 40 years old, but may appear younger than his real age. The new
Well, that
sketch
must be nice.